Hello and welcome at Thomas Geiger Car. Today with a very special test drive, or should we say an expedition. It's definitely not a usual road trip. A, we're in Mongolia. B, it's winter and the temperatures are way below 10 minus. And our test car is a test truck. It is the Mercedes Zetros 6x6. 6 wheels, 3 axles, all-wheel drive, a car that will get you anytime, anywhere you want. If you want to know what to expect from that vehicle and what to expect when you occasionally end up in Mongolia in the wintertime, join me on their special road trip here at Thomas Geiger Car. That's it, home for the next few days, a cockpit of a real hard and hardcore truck. Many of the truck drivers might know, for me as a usual passenger car driver, it looks pretty weird. Huge steering wheel, shift with 2 H's means 8 gears, and then there's another button and you have 16 gears that you all shift manually, and huge power. Nowadays, the Zetros is delivered with 12.8 liters of displacement in a 6-cylinder engine with up to 590 horsepower and roughly 3,000 Newton meters of torque. This car is a bit older, so it only has roughly 8 liters of displacement, has 326 horsepower and still 1,300 Newton meters to go. Not the fastest car, 90 kilometers per hour is the top speed, but one of the toughest. They told me this car can go anywhere, and that's what we're gonna figure out right now. It took a little while to get used to the Zetros. The dimension, the operation of the gears, and the pretty soft steering, all that needs a little bit of practice. But we have the first 1,000 kilometers in the book and we're really close friends by now. And this car is a car that makes you confident you can conquer everything. 1.20 meter wading depth, almost 40 centimeters of ground clearance. 3 axles, 3 differentials, 8 gears, and low gear system with another 8 gears. So there's barely nothing that can stop you. But that doesn't mean that you can just go and hit the pedal. No, you have to drive really careful with and taking your eye really far ahead of you. Because the car weighs 30 tons and once they're moving, it's hard to stop them. So if you go over a nice pattern of road, better be careful. The other thing is the dimensions. Once you pass a small town or village, which doesn't happen that often, you really have to take care for the power lines and stuff, because we're 4 meters high, and when the cables are hanging low, another Mongolian town will have a blackout, and I don't want to be the reason for that. Other than that, everything is fine, and we just keep on driving and keep on enjoying. If you look at that scenery, you understand why. Mongolia is the perfect country for overlanding and road tripping because it's 4 times bigger than Germany but has only 3.3 million inhabitants, same like the Berlin area, for example. So there is lots of nothing all over, and the moment you leave the 3 major cities, there is not even tarmac left and you're driving on pistes and on off-road tracks that are barely visible except you've trained your eyes. And since there's so little people in the country and these people are nomads, there are also not many remains of the huge and vast history of the Mongolian Empire. Yes, they once ruled the biggest country in the world in the era of Genghis Khan and Kublai Khan, but since they all lived in tents and have been on the move all the time, there is just no ancient building, no old town. It is just nothing. The only remainder is the huge herds of cattle. They're having sheep, horses, camels, yak, cows. Depending on the area and depending on the climate, it almost feels like the Serengeti in Africa, just with different livestock to witness. At a certain time, you climb over a mountain pass, enter the next valley, and you're in a desert of snow and ice. No idea where the road is, no idea where the river is, but you just keep on driving. The Setros has huge tires with big blocks on it. It has a 6x6 drivetrain. It can weight 1.20 m, so even if you break through the ice, you shouldn't be in too much problem. But it will most probably not happen. Temperatures are so low that the ice becomes thick and thicker every minute, and you'll have 30, 40, 50 centimeters of ice that can even bear the 30 tons of the Setros. Traffic in Mongolia is pretty weird. As long as you're in Ulaanbaatar, the capital of the country, you feel like stuck in Beijing or Rio de Janeiro or Frankfurt at the rush hour, because you have traffic jams aplenty, and it can take you 1 or even 2 hours to cross the city, which has 1.3, 1.5 million inhabitants. The moment you're out of the city, you're absolutely on your own. And if you see another car, it's most likely not an SUV or an off-roader as you might expect. No, it's most probably a Toyota Prius, because this is the junkyard for Japanese used cars. And since the Prius is available aplenty and pretty cheap, the Mongolians buy all the stock the Japanese used car dealers are having to offer. I think there is no country in the world where you have more Prius per capita than in Mongolia. And the range of Priuses is quite spectacular. They're having raised crown clearance, they're having off-road tires, they're having roof racks, they're having all the gits and gears that you might need in the countryside. And they're dirty, they're old, and they're worn out, but obviously they're still driving. It's rarely that you see a car breaking down and people being stuck. The further you drive to the north, the harsher the climate becomes. It's getting colder and the ice is getting thicker. And once you're done with these bumpy, so-called roads, or just finding your own path over the bumpy plains, you're very happy to switch on a frozen river or on a frozen lake, because then the bumps are over and your back can rest for a little while. And you can speed up while you hardly manage to get an average speed of 15 or 20 kilometers per hour on the so-called roads. On the ice, you can drive 30, 40 kilometers per hour, and since the rivers are long and the lakes are huge, you really make a distance. The only problem is, while it's a literally light task for a passenger car, it's a different story with a truck. Our truck weighs 30 tons, so you need quite a bit of thick ice to drive on it. And you have to have some nerves, because once you open the window, you hear the ice cracking, which is totally normal, but somehow disturbing. And you just fear that you break through. And the lakes are deeper than the 1.20 m wading depth of the Setros. And believe me, in water cold like that, you don't want to have your swimming exercise, especially not in regular clothes. So better be careful. But on the other hand, it is a unique, once-in-a-lifetime experience to take this truck on the lake like a prima ballerina and do some swings there. The Mercedes Setros is a niche product for Daimler Truck because it somehow sits in between the portfolio. Technology is derived from the Actros and the Arocs, the best-selling trucks in Europe. The genes are from the Unimog, that Swiss Army knife of hard-working trucks with a long tradition, and a bit of philosophy is also in there from the G-Wagon, even if they don't like to quote that anymore, since trucks and passenger cars have parted ways. This truck is also the one that Mercedes is producing with the smallest numbers. A high three-digit figure, that's what they quote and what they say when it comes to the annual production volume, making this the rarest model out of the factory invert. Nevertheless, it is quite a cool tool and it is quite an expensive toy, at least in the way it's standing here. The base model is roughly a six-digit figure. Let's call it 100,000 euros. It's a matter of numbers and negotiations. But if you want to have this luxury RV expedition mobile with a box and with fully furniture inside, then you're way above €1,000,000 at least. This truck is not only an expedition mobile and one of the toughest off-roaders I've ever driven. No, it's also a luxury apartment on wheels, equipped with everything you want to have. Wooden furniture, marble on the kitchen top, wooden floor, tiles in the bathroom and in the shower, for sure, with a floor heating, and with a huge kitchen table where you can easily sit 6 to 8 people. It's air conditioned, you got heated floors, everything to make you comfy and cozy, even in the harsh winters of Mongolia. While the kitchen and the living room are kind of public spaces, this is the master suite, with a bedroom bigger than in many apartments. A full double bed, king or queen sized, with lots of lighting, with your own television, again with heated floors, with direct access to a rainbow and rainfall shower. This is glamping at its best, and every ordinary trucker will be totally jealous to see that luxury. But this luxury comes with a price. The car costed more than $1.2 million. Insurance value is $2.5 million. So yes, you have to pay the extra money if you want to have the extra comfort. Slowly but steady, this Mongolian adventure comes to an end. We have our wheels back on tarmac. It's a rough 1,000 kilometers back to the capital, Ulaanbaatar. And as sad as it is, because it was just spectacular finding your own ways in the desert, on the rocks, in the snow and in the ice, as happy as am I to have something like a road underneath my truck, because all the bumping and the humping is over. Not really over, but getting better minute by minute. And it also feels good to see some road companions again. Mainly passenger cars, and if passenger cars, then Priuses. But you still feel pretty lonely on the road. Traffic is light, and maybe I have to come back with a sports car to enjoy the empty roads of Mongolia again. Why not take a Porsche 911 Dakar or a Lamborghini Sterato? Curious if those high-raced sports cars could do the same as this Setros. Maybe they lose a little when it comes to ground clearance and to off-road capabilities, but at least on-road the trip might be 1 day shorter or 2. Thanks for joining me on that expedition through northern Mongolia. 2,000 kilometers of dust, ice, snow, gravel and hardcore off-road driving. 2,000 kilometers with a truck that I totally love right now. Yes, I admit I'm a huge fan of the G-Wagon, but the G-Wagon is a toy. This is the real thing. There is almost nothing that can stop you. 6 axles, all-wheel drive, 16 gears, 3 differential and a wading depth of 1.20 meters. So nothing, not even the harsh Mongolian winter, can stop that. And for sure, I'll come back in summer and see if the Setros performs in dust as good as in ice.